Welcome everybody, Love Them Knives channel, Love Them Knives channel. Okay, so I've done a video on the MSI before, okay? But it was one where my buddy Sean had gotten a black G10 model on a quick little drop from Microtech back in February, and he sent it to me, and I got it, but I wouldn't disassemble it because it's his knife, not mine, etc., etc. So now that I've been to the Texas Blade Show, Texas Blade is now, this is the second year where they are a part of the official Blade Show series. And see, that's something I didn't understand. So last year in 2022 was the first year they were officially part of that Blade Show group, like Blade Show Atlanta, Blade Show West. Now we got Blade Show Texas. And there are hundreds of exhibitors on a waiting list to become part of Blade Texas. It's going to grow fast if the owner of the show deems it viable to do so, at what rate. And so maybe it will rival Atlanta at some point in time. And I could see that being, that would be possible being in Texas, the center of the country. And there's a lot of makers in Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, all that kind of area. Okay. And, there's just a lot going on in Texas. So I can see that. So this will be an interesting show to watch. Of course, Microtech was there last year, and they're there this year, and they brought knives. They brought the MSI. They brought the Stitch. Okay, so I stood in a crowd of guys on Friday morning, which was the first day of the show, and I said the first thing I want to do is get an MSI if I can, and a Stitch. And I didn't know they would have them or not. Okay, I didn't know that. So there's the Stitch, and here's the MSI, and I'm going to do a separate video on the Stitches, and I didn't get one in black, and the black was very popular. I think it sold out first, and you know what? I didn't want a black one. I'll take the tan, and the idea on the tan is you could make this into sapphire blue or whatever you can, because it's a light tan. You ought to be able to dye these scales if you wanted to. It's got the Ram-Lok system. So let's talk about this. The Ram-Lok system being a self-contained, as it was explained to me by a Microtech rep during the SHOT Show in Vegas. Okay, that's an industry trade show, public not invited, but I was there and went by the Microtech booth, and he's saying this Ram-Lok system is a system that is relatively self-contained here. It's unique in that way. And if you see like an axis lock system or that kind of thing, or a scorpion lock, that kind of thing, they're not as like that, apparently. So we will see how unitized this is when we do a disassembly on this, just to kind of check it out. Okay. So I didn't want to do it on the earlier video I did on Sean's knife that was the black G10, because I didn't own that knife and I didn't want to mess anything up on his knife. Interesting that this is a full-size knife, and it started out coming out in the G10, and it's under $300, I guess. I bought two of these, and I bought these two all together, okay? And it was over $1,200 total. So that if you divide by 4, that's $300 a piece. But that's relatively inexpensive with tax included, of course. So I think these were like $270, $290, somewhere in there. Sean bought his for $250 off their website. I don't know why they were $270, $280, whatever at Texas, but regardless, that's relatively inexpensive for Microtech, and these are USA made. They're a pretty good size knife, and you can kick it open with this cutaway, which is nice that they have that. Or you can just flip it open. I'm trying not to hit my camera stand, okay? So you can do that, okay? Or you can thumb roll it, however you want to do. Middle finger flick. And this is one of these things you may, if you get lazy, that's it. That's what it does. Because this is is kind of having to pull and do things. So this is not a real free flowing, you know what I'm saying? If you just, it wants to kind of stop it or pull it back in, if you know what I'm saying. There, you have to overcome that, okay? Which probably keeps a knife from, opening in your pocket and doing shit like that. Now, you can do that. The detent not being really all that strong, and that's good because if you want to flick it, you still need to use a little bit of wrist or whatever, but you get the hang of it pretty quick. So, I mean, you pull this back, it doesn't just drop and do that like an axis lock might, whatever. So it's a little different a feel there. Good size knife though, and if you want to line the stitch up with it, you'll see that the stitch is not as big, is it? In fact, the stitch, instead of a pretty much a 4-inch blade, it's got, 3.65 at about 92, 93 millimeters. And overall, let's just call it, 8.5 inches at 21.5 centimeters. But this is 22 centimeters overall length. And the blade length, and obviously the cutting length, goes almost 3.5 inches. Almost 4, you could call it 3.85, at the least. And then overall, 22.5 centimeters. I don't know what I said before. Almost 9 inches. God only knows. So this is interesting as well. Was I looking at this correctly? Let's see both these MSI knives. Okay, they do look the same. I was looking at this here and was trying to see, is this a little bit different on one knife as opposed to the other? And you know what? Looking closer, no, they look pretty similar. Maybe just slightly different here and here. But so tan and green, I didn't want to get a black one. Okay, so black was very popular. Another thing about this is you can reverse this deep carry pocket clip. Now, why the screws weren't tapered so that it flattens here, you know what I'm saying? They go flush with the knife. It'd be nice because these are flush, okay, but these are not, and these are not. I just think that would have been an extra little tweak to do. And let me see if I got anything. Yeah, okay, like this is my stupid Kubi knife, and stupid Kubi has figured it out. So if Kubi can figure it out, okay. See, tapered like that. I'm just trying to, $59 shooter, and here we got a $300 shooter. So, but made in the USA, of course. And there's so much to talk about these knives, and the stitch will be a separate video, of course. And if you want, let me at least give you this before I part off of this. But 3-inch cutting edge, right? As opposed to a 3.5-inch cutting edge on the MSI. So, but this is way cool. Cool factor probably goes to the stitch. But MSI, I don't know. You might disagree with me on that and say the cool factor goes here. So this is way ass cool. G10 is appropriate for this. I know there's guys going, I'm waiting until they come out with carbon fiber, blah, blah, blah. I'm not worried about that. I don't want one in carbon fiber. And that's just me. But I want this to be roughy, tufty G10. G10 can take a beating, and it still looks brand new. It's hard to scratch this up, really. And it's very resistant to all kinds of corrosive influence, chemicals or things that it may lay down in. You might spill something on the bench and oh God, and you pick up your knife and okay, it's good, So micarta soaks it up. Carbon fiber can kind of get scraped and, scratchy too, depending on the kind of finish they put on the carbon fiber. So I'm good with this, especially at this price. I mean, I don't want to pay another $100 to get carbon fiber on here, tell you the truth, because I want this to be able to be a carry everyday type carry knife, and it's a little on the heavy side. So let's do that. I mean, as far as an everyday carry for many people, okay. Okay, it's 148 grams. Actually, that's not too embarrassing, is it? Um, and that's 5.2 ounces. Okay. I mean, really deceptive. I think it feels more substantial in the hand, maybe than 5. But you know what? It's spread out a lot. It's not that obtuse. So 5 ounces is not that much to have to carry when you got a 9-inch knife, and the ergos are pretty good here. For me personally, I'm kind of holding it like this. And so this is kind of hitting me right here in the middle of that finger. It's not uncomfortable per se. And then anything after a while in this pocket clip, I really don't like the fact that they come to rest sticking up like that. And if I got somebody that flattens out, okay, let me show you this one. This is a petrified fish. I kind of like this where they flatten out, you know what I'm saying, at the very end, because this will kick in, go over the lip of your pocket here, and it'll hold. And yet this doesn't stick up right into the palm of your hand when you're handling it. You know what I'm saying? So just saying. Okay, so not sure I'm that excited about the way they finished it. I think they should have come up a little earlier, flattened off a little bit, okay? And tapered screws here and here, right? Okay, but just, I mean, you can pipe in and go, no, you're an idiot. Okay, that's fine. I know I am. But let's just keep going down that path. 13.6 millimeters at 0.53. That's not that fat. I would have thought maybe closer to 6/10 of an inch, but it's not. And I think this is close to 4. Yeah, 0.15. Yeah, it's 4 millimeter blade stock. So that's hale and hearty. Another thing to talk about, and I mean, before we're really kind of doing a lot of stuff here, but another thing to talk about is this M390 MK. Well, what's that? What do you mean M390 MK? So you can look this up if you just Google Microtech M390 MK or just Microtech M390. It'll give you a choice of M390 MK. You can click on that. There's a Steel Nerds article. Laren Thomas, the guy who developed MagnaCut, he's an authority because he's a metallurgist. But so he talks about this, and he had talked to the Microtech people, and basically it's not a different formula, okay? It's not necessarily a different heat treat. It is a more controlled formula because he says, in an example, you may have, like, if you say 2% carbon, you can have a variance of 1.7 to 2%, to 2% carbon. Or chromium, you could have, you say 20% chromium, it could be a variance between 18.5 to 20.5. You know what I'm saying? And so they're saying that what they're doing with Böhler is they are getting a steel that Böhler is tweaking the variances down to a very, very tight tolerance. So instead of 18.5 to 20.5, chromium, it's going to be like 19 or 19.5 to 20.5, just that one little spread there. So they're bringing that in. The carbon, instead of like 1.8 to 2.0, they're going to bring it like 1.95 to 2.0 or something like that. Okay, you can read that article. So that's what they're talking about, tightening up the stats on it so that it will be a more tightly controlled formula and give a more uniform result that would be a more desirable result because you won't have as wide a variance. Now, whether you would ever notice a difference in performance, I don't know. But it's a good marketing thing too. I mean, and there's reality to it, but I don't know if there's a lot of, what I'm saying. So you can kick in on that because you may have something to say about that. And I don't, because I'm not an expert on metals, even though I'm going to start testing again. So I'm going to have one of these babies shot and I'm going to see what the XRF shows me. It won't show me carbon, okay, because that's a light element, but it will show me the chromium and the other elements, and I can tell if they really pulled it in, what their spread is there. So I'll be able to see the exact. So that ought to be interesting. Plus, I'll get a Rockwell on it. We'll see what that's like. What do you think? Maybe one of the Stitch and one of the MSI go into my next batch, and we'll just take a check on that. Why not? I'm as interested in the Rockwell as I am in the actual formula myself. So this Ram-Lok system, interesting. I like it. It's new. It's not, and this thing is not it's not, well, of course, it's not an automatic. And so that's nice that Microtech is kind of expanding out of their automatic line, especially when they did with Knives. They did the SOCOM Bravo, which I have one. And then I heard from Reich that they're probably not going to make any more of the non-black blade SOCOM Bravos. So keep that under your hat. I mean, I'm holding on to mine. Then I had a mind to maybe sell it, but I'm not going to do it now because that's a beautifully made knife, and I know Reich is Chinese and stuff. But these are nice. These are USA made, and there was a guy harassing Barfione about that. And he goes, look at the box. We do a different buy. And, absolutely, they're USA made. So, I mean, that's fine. That's what he's saying. I believe him. Why would he say anything different if he was doing it with Reich or somebody else? He's obviously disclosed the SOCOM and the annex. So that's not an issue with me. So yes, I think this is great though. I like this, and I can see Microtech in the future, right? Doing maybe a smaller version. And then of course, they'll be doing some custom takeoffs on this with polished blades and carbon fiber, maybe fat carbon, God only knows, this, that, the other. So who knows, they may come out with a MagnaCut blade someday on this. Can you imagine the possibilities, right? So this would be interesting, as well as on the Stitch, right? So yeah, I love it. So let's get into this a little bit more. Let's look at the overall design of the knife. I like it. I'm not, and this is, what do you want to call this? Warncliffe, sheep's foot, kind of sheep's foot, right? So, okay. And you know what? Normally, I'm not big on that blade style. I mean, I don't chase it. I don't chase Warnies. I don't chase sheep's foot. But this is fine, right? Because this is going to be just kind of a general user. I don't know that we need to do fancy little piercing, but you can pick labels with this. You can do things like that. But this is going to be more of I think, a general use carry. Okay, so let's try every one of them. because that, my friend, is good right there. That is way ass good. Okay, so we know we're going to keep the green one now. What fool's going to get this one from me? Oh, can't get this one either. Whoa, that is okay. That's good. Okay, hold on. Next piece of paper. Whoa, that was okay. Let's try a stitch. Let's try the 2 stitches. Woo! Oh, my goodness, those are definitely scary sharp. Oh man, I don't know who's doing this, but whoever's doing this is doing it good. Okay, that's just as sharp as all the rest of them. Let's try this. Oh yeah, that is, paper's just surrendering as it goes through it. I mean, that is a hell of a good factory edge. I'll tell you that. That is way ass good. You know what? The stitch not offering you a left-hand carry option. I mean, it's a G10 knife. Now, it's not an inexpensive G10 knife, but really not. I don't know, because they did on this, and this doesn't offend me. Does this offend you? This doesn't offend me. If they would have put, I don't know, can you buy tapered that would fit this? Because that would be really a nice little change up if you could. You know what I'm saying? But okay, let's get back to overall design. Yes, okay. You got jimping, big old jimps here, but that's nice. And you can creep up on this, so you can kind of get up on this blade if you want, and you can get up here like this. So, and it's got a nice finish on it, so it's not going to glare at you. It's not going to mark up real easily. So this, the whole point of this thing, I think, is field use, and not looking beat up if you do take it around here and there. And I think this is going to hold up pretty damn well. And it's not too fat in the hand, but it's fat enough, to get good purchase on it, to get a good feel on it. Okay. So, I mean, I like that too. I like this top one up, one on the bottom on this pocket clip like that, as opposed really to this side by side. Now, maybe just as a function of design, everything, blah, blah, blah. Okay, stitch. But I like this better. Okay. Yeah, and lanyard. And you know what? You've got a backspacer here, and we'll know more. Well, that's got to be titanium, right? Oh, there's some plates, definitely magnetic. But yeah, that's got to be titanium there, which thank God, because that keeps it a lot lighter. So when we disassemble this, we will check some of these components to see which ones are non-magnetic. I mean, I say titanium, but I can at least attest to non-magnetic. It's non-magnetic. It's centered. No, it's not playing around. I can do this much. I think that's a function of this Ram-Lok. I mean, like you get with an axis lock system or anything. So you're going to have a little bit of that kind of thing. This one too. Yeah, just a little bit that you can pull on there. And you whack it good enough, you will get it out there. I've noticed that you can have varying amounts of a little bit of stick maybe there, depending on how hard you whack it open. You know what I mean? Yeah, tick. Okay, so the harder you whack it open, now that time it's so hard it probably didn't. But you could have a little bit of variance of maybe a little bit of stick there, and that's just going to be a function of this too, in my opinion. Okay, so what do you think? It's I think it's a well-built knife. I like it. I like the feel of it. I think it may be a little too big and cumbersome for some kind of EDC carry, and you may want something more with like 3¼ inch blade and like 7.5 inches overall length and maybe 3 ounces and that kind of thing. But this thing being at the 5.2 ounce level is not that much. It's not that bad. Not at all. Okay, so let's see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so we need to, let's get our other driver out here. We're not going to need number 6. Great big announcement there. Will we need a number 20? I was looking at this. Yeah, 20. Let's try a 20 on the pivot. And that's not moving. And that's not moving. And oh, yeah, baby. Okay. We needed to get the Big Daddy. I just needed enough circumference there to really grip and unscrew that. And now I've just voided the warranty. Okay. I don't know if I have or not, actually. You know, I think I heard the person at the counter say that, because I was saying I'm going to be disassembling this. And I don't think they said that voids it. But at least this is hardware that you can get bits for. I had to stop and put my spleen behind that one. Whew. That was okay. Are we even, Steven? Are these matching? Okay. Which part of my internal organs did I just rupture doing that one? Holy cannolis. Well, they got them together, don't they? Whew. Lord Almighty. Okay. Here we go. And I think that's the end of the show, folks. Bye. Have a good weekend. Okay, what do we got? Okay, nothing like doing this cold. Okay. Let's just say, oh yeah, these are tiny little suckers. So let's see if I'm going to pull this apart and then some spring's going to come flying out after me. Okay. And here we go. Hey, that's almost like an ordinary knife. I was thinking it was going to be not so ordinary. And so we've got an area that's going to capture that pivot, right? Because this is squared off here. So let's think about that. And let's take a look at this and we got multi-row ceramic bearings. So isn't that interesting? That is interesting, isn't it? Okay, so hold on. Is that going to just pull off or is that threaded in there from the screws on the other side? Okay, hold on. Let me back this off and see if I can wobble this blade off of here without doing too much damage. Okay. And let's take that bearing ring off of there. Okay. Now what do we got? Okay, so here's this unit here. Okay. Here's what we got. We got a spring on this shaft and it goes in here. Okay, just like that. And it fits over this pin right here. So that's what she's all about right there. Just kick this right down here. There it is, just like normal dealy bobber. And this goes in here. And this kicks onto here. And let's just put it on that pin. Let's compress it. Okay. I kind of Okay, that's all. I mean, you can you can pop this thing, this head, this thing right, and then it'll go flying across the room. But here's where we're at right here. Okay, so that is it. It's just kind of a machine block here, and then these are on here actually, and that looks like all one piece, isn't it? Okay, and then what's this up here? No, that's all part of that, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is a solid block. It's got all this milling on it, right? Button here, top jimping stuff here, here, here. Okay. And then just has this block with a pin here, and you just put a spring on it. So you got this piece that's all machined with the stem and everything. Then you got this piece that's machined with all this actuation. And then you got a spring and you put it on there and you slide it in. So it is pretty self contained, isn't it? Because that's it. Okay. And then that one of these pins that almost looks like a stop or whatever is right there as part of the whole fixture, and of course supported by the steel here. And if you are interested in this, and you may be actually, and let's try and keep Junior from jumping off the table there. Let's try this. Okay, 1 millimeter thick right here. So 1 millimeter on each side. Now look at this. This is kind of oblong here. And then this is, of course, like got the squared off. This is oblong here. Okay. So here's where we are on this whole deal. That's how she's going to sit down, this and this right here. That's nice. Okay. So that's how you're working. Okay. We're good. I just, I wanted to see what it was all about. And I guess I don't need to take the other scale down or anything, because this whole component will come out of here. If you want, just push on through. Okay. And it's just slides off of here. So way cool. No, it's not terribly difficult. I mean, the machining would not be easy, because you've got a lot of operations going on there just to make this block, right? But thank God for computers and CNCs and all that shit. So yeah, you'd be good. And then you've got all this multi-row ceramic or offset, whatever you want to call them. I don't know, maybe not really multi-row per se, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, you're looking at it, so you know. And that's nice. So it gives some good stability, because it's a big round ring, isn't it? And it's a big round pivot. And with these sides and everything, you're giving the blade a lot of, I would think, lateral stability. Even if I mean, you could argue, hey, you're going to make it really a roughy tufty outdoors knife, you should be maybe putting a bronze washer on here instead. And you know what? Another idea. What do you think about this? Microtech offering the option of a bronze washer as opposed. You know what I'm saying? Maybe so, because yeah, this is going to pick up more debris and stuff, right? Okay, okay. But they could have maybe a little, steel insert that goes there, and then put a thin bronze washer down, and as opposed to what this is right here. But so this pretty much looks at okay. Now, another thing, sorry, broke in on myself. Nah, that's not, nah, but the hardware here, yeah, okay. The stuff coming through, I'm picking up magnetism. Um, but this backspacer, no, that's titanium. This little dog, I don't know. Well, obviously those screws are, yep. Okay, that's steel. That answers that question. I was wondering if this wasn't going to be titanium. It would make it lighter, but then again, are you going to have better wear outcome making this steel? So, see, I'm not, yeah, see, yeah, that's all steel. Looks like the backspacer, though, definitely not magnetic. So I'm saying titanium on that. All these plates. Pocket clip is definitely steel as well. Okay, now, have I runt it? Have I runt my knife? Hopefully I haven't runt it. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe I should have cranked a little yank and crank. Then again, I mean, am I right on? No, am I? Let me look. I'm not dead out on centered. So I'm not dead on centered. What did I do? I did it from this side. Okay. That look dead centered? That looks pretty damn close. Let me see. Now what are we doing? Okay, let me feel this because I didn't know that I would really have. Nah, that's not playing. Now I feel like I ought to start all over again because I was talking about how the action on this is, and it is too easy. And you can make it tougher if you want. I don't want. And then, no, it's still centered. Okay. Still, this is nice. And I don't think this is, no, I'm not feeling any movement there. And so this is really much improved, isn't it? Wow. That's crazy good. Damn, this one here, um, like I was showing earlier, it doesn't do that. I was going, like the axis lock knives will when you disengage them. Well, it does now. So I have a feeling the Slam and Jam crew over at Microtech, maybe it got a little too enthusiastic. Let's give it a little crack. Crickety, crickety, crickety crack. Give it a little crack. Oh, much better. Muy mejor. Yes, much better, much better. Just giving it just a little tap, tappity, tappity, tippity, tippity, tap. Happy Gilmore here. Tippity tap, just a little tippity tap. Oh yeah, oh yeah. She's happy now. I have freed her from bondage. Ooh. Now you can breathe, baby. Yes, you can. Okay, what do we got? I don't know, man. You talk to your knives. If you don't, then maybe you don't need as much therapy as I'm getting. Okay, so there they are, the MSI. I told you. I told you. Okay, back once more. I finally will cut you loose. I promise. Here, get out if you want. Get out. Okay, Microtech. It just doesn't get any better than the MSI for a carry work, all tufty roughy, lots of fun, fidget friendly, crazy knife. And you know what we do? We love them knives. So you guys stay sharp.